Hey there, it's John from Living the Music. Today is all about Paul McCartney fan fun. Not sure if I've coined that term or not, but we're going to go with it. With our Paul McCartney fan fun, we are going to do a special ranking here, as you saw in the thumbnail and in the description. So this goes back to a quote that George Harrison made many years ago, talking about the grueling sessions of Abbey Road where they were working on Paul's track, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. George described this song as, quote, so fruity. And that got me to thinking, has Paul done other fruity songs in the George Harrison sense? Now, what exactly George meant by that song, we'll never know, and maybe he didn't know exactly, but I've gone through Paul's material from Beatles, Wings, solo. I've come up with 17 tracks that I would classify as more or less fruity tunes. So we're going to rank those from worst to best, or least good to the best, according to me. Like any ranking, it's just a matter of opinion. What I'd really love to know is your thoughts on this, and also what songs have I missed? There's probably some that have gone through the cracks, or again, it could just be a matter of interpretation of what we count as fruity or not. By the way, George may have meant that as a derogatory term. I don't necessarily look at it that way. I enjoy fruity music. I suppose I have to admit, or certainly a lot of it. And I'm a huge Paul McCartney fan. Here I am doing a video on Paul McCartney's fruity music, so I must be a pretty big fan. So I'm going to find something to like in almost all of his music, including these. So here we go. It doesn't mean that they're bad, but I think you can make a case that they're all of a set of a certain kind of song. So again, let me know what you think in the comments, but here we go. 17 tracks. I have some props to show you here with some of these. Others, we'll just talk about them. So at number 17, we are going to go with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae. This was the B-side to Wonderful Christmas Time. This came out 79, I believe, in the Back to the Egg period. And what can you say? I think the title kind of says everything. And if you listen to the track, let's just say it's sort of the lowest rent version of what you could expect possible. Not very inspiring, not very enjoyable, but, it's a lark, and, I guess it's only rock and roll, so what the hell, but it does come in at the bottom for me. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae. That's my number 17 of Paul McCartney fruity songs. All right. Let's see. Number 16. It can only go up from there, of course. We're going to go to the Broad Street CD, because this song did not appear on the LP nor the cassette. But on the CD, you got one extra track called Good Night Princess. Now, this is an instrumental that Paul put together kind of in that spirit of standards, Lawrence Welkish type of music. And it's sort of his send-off to the album. And in that sense, it almost sort of works on the album itself. You've gone through all these tracks. He's covered Beatles, he's covered himself, he's done, an instrumental sort of long excursion on Eleanor Rigby. So, it's like a lot of things going down here on the album. And then he finally closes it with Good Night Princess. As I say, as an album experience, I don't skip that track. I quite like it as sort of a send-off. But in terms of a standalone track, it doesn't have a lot going on. It doesn't really do a lot for me, so it comes in at number 16. Number 15, I'm going to go to his latest release, which is the Man on the Run soundtrack. Love the movie. Even the soundtrack is fun. I haven't opened this LP yet, but I have listened to this album. And One of the curios on here is the song Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance. Now, that's fruity if anything is. Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance, that appeared on his James Paul McCartney TV special in 1972. We've had access to that, of course, from that special and in the Red Rose Speedway, I think it was Red Rose Speedway, the deluxe edition. You got the video form of that, so we've been able to hear it. But on this album is the first time that we get an actual audio version of it, albeit not transferred very well for whatever reason, but still you can hear what's going on, and it's fine. Again, it's an interesting song. It's like, where does he come up with this? He's trying to have a production number for a TV special. I get it. It's fun in its own way, but it drags on a bit too, and it's certainly not one of my favorites to go back to for Paul McCartney. So Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance comes in at number 15. At number 14, we're going to go with Walking in the Park with Eloise. Walking in the Park with Eloise. This is an interesting tune because this was a song that his dad apparently wrote back in the day. And his dad, of course, he said when Paul talked to him about it, he's like, I didn't write that, I just made it up. Paul's like, well, that's what we call songwriting, But when he was in Nashville doing some sessions with Wings, he met up with Chet Atkins, and Chet heard the story, and he said, Paul, you got to record that and give that as a gift to your dad. So they ended up doing it, and they ended up releasing it under the band name The Country Hams, sort of, some extended Wings pseudonym, and very interesting artwork there. And, it's enjoyable for what it is. It's got a kind of a fun melody to it. It's like somewhat repetitive. It doesn't have words to it. Again, it's not gonna be super highlight of the Paul McCartney career, but I get the sentimental value of it for him and his family, and I do appreciate it for what it is. So that comes in at number 14. Number 13, we're gonna go with Tropic Island Hum. Tropic Island Hum. He's got Rupert in there as part of this. This was a single that he put out that accompanied an animation short that he did called Tropic Island Hum, and he does all these different voices, all these sort of different animal characterization voices, and it's got a good beat to it. It kind of bops along. It's fun. It's kind of fun to hear these different voices that he does, but at the same time, it can be a little bit annoying, certainly with repeated listenings to me. He's got Rupert on there. I think Rupert might appear in the video, and also the B-side here, As We All Stand Together. That will come up later. In fact, a little bit later, not right now. So that's number 13, Tropic Island Hum, Paul McCartney Fruity Songs. Number 12, I'm going to go with All Together Now. That's on the Yellow Submarine soundtrack. So, the Beatles, as you know, they were notoriously not very involved in that whole project, but they did manage to give them 4 new songs. Let's see, you got Hey Bulldog, basically by John. You got Only a Northern Song by George, All Together Now by George, and then, It's All Too Much by George, and then All Together Now by Paul. So Paul's is sort of this acoustic ditty, with 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I have a little more? 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. A, B, C, D. Can I have a cup of tea? It's a nonsense tune, children's tune, So it's fine as it goes, but again, certainly not his best work. So that comes in at number 12. At number 11, I'm going to go back to the Wonderful Christmas Time single because I'm going to point to that song in and of itself. Wonderful Christmas Time. There we go. There he is. There's the man. So, this has become quite the staple in the holiday season, both in America and in the UK. I'm not sure where else, probably Canada as well, and Australia and so forth, and maybe Europe too, I'm not sure. But apparently he makes more on royalties from that song than almost any other song in his catalog. So it gets a lot of airplay. It's become a standard of the holidays. It's one of these synth-based songs. I think he basically put it together when he was doing McCartney 2. It's fine. John had done War Is Over. That Christmas, Happy Christmas, War Is Over. That seems to have a little bit more substance to it lyrically and musically. This is, it's a bit of a, I don't want to say throwaway, but it's slight, but it's just a Christmas tune. He's just having fun and celebrating, having fun with your family. So I do enjoy it when I hear it, but I do recognize also it's not objectively like a great piece of work even for a Christmas tune. Okay, number 10, we're going to go with All Stand Together. The Rupert song, the Frog song, the notorious song. This came out in 84. And it was a big hit in the UK. Yeah, like really big hit for Paul. And it didn't really go anywhere. I don't even think it was released as a single in the US. It was basically the crescendo and sort of everything leading up to that in the short feature he did with Rupert. It's called Rupert and the Frog Song. And I have a soft spot for that. I remember getting the VHS of that, and I liked it, and I played it for my sons as they grew up, and they grew to enjoy it as well. And it's a gentle song, Yeah, he does all the voices, and he makes these sort of frog kind of sounds. It's goofy, fruity, if you will, but it's well-meaning. And I mean, not all music is sort of, supposed to be serious adult music. So I think he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. Apparently, even though it did extremely well in the UK, I think there was also an inevitable backlash of, is this what we're getting from Paul McCartney now? I mean, like, what has it come to this? And he sort of didn't have that many big singles going forward from that point. He kind of had been labeled as this sort of soft artist, if you will. But anyway, there you go. It's number 10 here, and it's a nice tune, and it's something. Whenever it comes on, I enjoy it. Okay, number 9, we're gonna go with "Mary Had a Little Lamb." So this comes out early part of Wings, and he had just put out the protest song "Give Ireland Back to the Irish." That ends up getting banned on UK radio, and very unusual for him to do that kind of thing. And then he follows it up with this. So he's sort of going the opposite direction, but I think it was well-meaning. He had a daughter named Mary, and I think it's perfectly reasonable he would think of this nursery rhyme, and that he would come up with a tune. And the thing about this is, it's quite catchy. I'll spare you my rendition of the La La's, but if you listen to it, it's quite you quite sing along. You kind of have to sort of really brace yourself to not sing along with that. And I like the band accompaniment. I like the drumming in that. So yeah, some people would call it embarrassing, but I just think it's sweet, and and he did a good job with it. So comes in at number 9 for me. Coming in at number 8, I'm going to go with the song So Bad. So this is on his Pipes of Peace album. And this is, 1983. So he does this falsetto singing, all the way through in falsetto. Very gentle. Girl, I love you so bad. And then he tells the story about how he was singing this around the house to his daughters, and then his young son heard it and he kind of felt left out. So he found a way to incorporate in the song, Boy, I love you, boy, I love you. Again, very, very sweet. That's where he was in his life. He was raising a young family, and of course, it was a love song to Linda also. You got Ringo on drums on that. I always enjoy it. It is that really soft side of Paul, where he, on that album and on much of it, it seems very muted in terms of rock, and he's just going for this contemporary pop sound. But George Martin produced. I think they did a good job. So that comes in at number 8. All right, number 7, I'm going to go with Girlfriend. So that's on London Town. Apparently he sort of wrote that with Michael Jackson in mind, but one thing or another, I think maybe Michael didn't want to do it, or he took a while to get to it, and Paul decided to do it himself. A lot of falsetto on that one as well. You're going to be my girlfriend of my, a girlfriend of mine, and it's fine. It has a sort of breakdown instrumental interlude, kind of cool guitar part in there. I don't skip it when I listen to the album. I enjoy it, and it's ranked quite high here, number 7. So pretty damn good job on one of those fruity songs, Paul. All right, coming in at number 6, I'm going to go with When I'm 64 from Sgt. Pepper's. This could be a little bit low on the list for some people. I do enjoy that song. You got to love the chord changes in there, the melody line. It is cool. I've never just been like a huge fan of it. In terms of like that album in and of itself, it would rank on near the bottom end of the songs I enjoy on that album, and it's fine. I remember John saying he would never think of such an idea for a song title. It's just completely out of his purview, but that's Paul McCartney for you, and that's one of the earliest songs he ever wrote, apparently. So damn nice job. That comes in at, as I say, number 6. Number 5, I'm going to go to 2005's Chaos and Creation in the Backyard and the song English Tea. Really nice rendition. You got Nigel Godrich producing that with Paul. A lot of that album is a little sort of Radiohead-ish kind of influenced in sort of the moods and textures. This one, English Tea, is kind of an aberration, sort of this bright, sunny, sort of sweet song that comes in, and again, a very nice job. He inserts the word peradventure in there, which I'd never heard of before, but it works. And I remember seeing him do that song live. It was very cool, and again, job well done on that one, English Tea. Number 4, we're going to go with Maxwell Silver Hammer. So George didn't like it. Ringo didn't like it. John was grateful he missed those sessions. But it is a Beatles track. He's at least got the 3 Beatles on it. And I think they do a damn good job. Even George says we eventually made it sound pretty good. I'm paraphrasing, but that's that was his essence of his message. And indeed, you get Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr giving 100% to something. They're pretty much going to work it into some decent shape, and they do. It's an interesting song, of course. Again, talking about coming up with ideas like that seemingly nobody else could come up with. he's written this comical, farcical song about a serial killer. Okay, pretty wild stuff there, but pretty interesting lyrics. It kind of fun story, and I dig it. I mean, when that comes on Abbey Road, I think it's pretty cool. Is it among the best tracks on that album? No way, but it's still fairly inventive, and fruity as it may be, it's still good. All right, number 3, pretty high on the list here, and this might be obscure to a lot of people. I'm going to go with Ode to a Koala Bear. Yeah, so this was the B-side to the Say, Say, Say single from the Pipes of Peace album. So Say, 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 the huge smash hit single that he did with Michael Jackson. And then on the B-side, you got Ode to a Koala Bear. I thought about putting Say, Say, Say on this list, but I couldn't quite see that it fit in this kind of quasi definition of a fruity song. It seemed like it was just more legitimate in some ways, or just more of just like a straight pop song, I guess. But Ode to a Koala Bear, yeah, that's on the fruity side of things. I mean, again, it's kind of cute, you know. Apparently, he and Linda had, in fact, met some koala bears, so to speak, and held them and hung out with them, and they were quite enamored with them. And I think it's sweet that he's moved to write a song about it, And I think, again, he did a great job. This is a super catchy tune. I'm showing this 45 because this is how I heard this song for years and years and years and years, until the Pipes of Peace deluxe set came out. But yeah, when I got in the mood to play my 45s, I would eagerly put this one on because I always enjoyed hearing it. It's pure Paul McCartney. What can I say? Pure Paul McCartney's got a great melody. When he talks about koala type bear, you could say that's a little bit clunky lyric, but nevertheless, it's a nice job, and I love the arrangement. It's that early pop 80s sheen to it, but again, I dig it. Only 2 left. If you sort of get the idea of this whole categorization, you can probably guess my top 2. Number 2 is You Gave Me the Answer from Venus and Mars. Yeah, I just think he smashed it out of the park with that one. He wanted to do, something along those lines that he had done on the White Album with Honey Pie, and he did it, and he killed it, like every bit almost, right up there with Honey Pie. And it's just great. You Gave Me the Answer. The whole band, perfect on that. Linda's harmonies, Denny. Just a very enjoyable, fruity song by Paul, and it's really should be a classic. It's so good. And then number 1 is the aforementioned Honey Pie from the White Album. Wow, what a tune! I guess some people slag that off on the White Album. They would rate it quite low, but I think it's fantastic. I think it's like super catchy. I love it to death. Once I play the White Album, that song can get stuck in my head. I'll be singing it for weeks afterwards. It's just fantastic. It again, pure Paul. It's so cool on that album how each guy got the opportunity to sort of be their purest self, or I guess multifaceted self, and that was one facet of the music that Paul loved, and that he could do it originally and every bit as good as those type of tunes from before is a testament to his musical genius. So There you go. My number 1 Fruity Paul song is Honey Pie. Number 2, you gave me the answer. Number 3, Ode to a Koala Bear. Number 4, Maxwell Silver Hammer. 5, English Tea. 6, When I'm 64. 7, Girlfriend. 8, So Bad. 9, Mary Had a Little Lamb. 10, We All Stand Together. 11, Wonderful Christmas Time. 12, All Together Now. 13, Tropic Island Hum. 14, Walking in the Park with Eloise. 15, Gotta Sing, Gotta Dance. 16, Goodnight Princess. And 17, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae. There you go. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please give this video a like, and I would love for you to subscribe to this channel and have notification and kind of be a part of this process here, so you don't miss any of these kind of videos. And I try to do some hopefully original stuff like this that we all can enjoy in our Paul McCartney fun fan video, or what did I call that? Paul McCartney fan fun. That's right, Paul McCartney fan fun. We have had some Paul McCartney fan fun. At least I have. I hope you have. All right, I'm gonna get signing out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.